Important notic. My videos are fact-based, made for curious minds and knowledge lovers. If you spot any mistakes, please comment, it helps me improve and keeps the facts accurate. Some may love cinematic visuals, but my focus is purely educational and informative. 500 million years ago, Earth was basically an alien planet. The continents were just barren, rocky deserts, without a single plant in sight. All the action, the great drama of life, was happening in the oceans. So, let's take a dive, 507 million years into the past, into the warm, shallow seas of the Cambrian period. This is way before the dinosaurs, long before any fish with jaws patrolled the waters. This was the dawn of animal life, a time when evolution was a frantic, chaotic lab, churning out bizarre new body plans in what we now call the Cambrian explosion. And in these murky, primordial waters, a new kind of hunter was on the prowl. It was no bigger than your hand, but in this world of miniature monsters, that made it a pretty serious predator. Armored with a tough exoskeleton, it propelled itself through the water, all its limbs paddling in unison. But its most terrifying features were right up front. Where you might expect antennae to taste or touch the world, this creature had something else entirely. It had claws. Massive, jointed pincers, primed and ready to snatch its next meal right out of the seafloor ooze. But this isn't just another weird fossil from a forgotten age. And it's not just one of evolution's scrapped experiments. Paleontologists have just discovered that this hand-sized sea monster is the earliest known ancestor to every spider, every scorpion, every tick, and every horseshoe crab on Earth today. This one fossil has rewritten the first chapter of their family story, pushing their origins back by millions of years. And its story will change how you see the creepy crawlies in your own backyard. What does this ancient sea monster have to do with the spider in your garage? The answer is everything. The Discovery Our story doesn't begin in an ancient ocean, but in a place that's a lot more familiar, and frankly, a lot more mundane, a museum collection drawer. For over 40 years, this revolutionary fossil just sat in storage, a silent testament to one of life's most important evolutionary leaps, and nobody had a clue. To the casual observer, it just looked like a rusty impression on a slab of rock. Let's rewind to the 70s or early 80s. An amateur fossil collector named Lloyd Gunther was exploring the Wheeler Formation in the West Desert of Utah. This spot is world famous among paleontologists. It's a treasure trove of Cambrian fossils, especially trilobites, those iconic, pill-bug-like critters that once dominated the seas. But amidst all the trilobites, Gunther found something different. It was clearly another arthropod, but its shape was unusual. Being a dedicated citizen scientist, he did exactly what you're supposed to do. He donated his find to experts so it could be properly studied. In 1981, the specimen was officially entered into the collection at the University of Kansas Biodiversity Institute and Natural History Museum. And there it sat. For decades, it was just one of thousands of fossils from Utah, waiting for its moment. That moment finally came when Dr. Rudy Lerosi-Aubrel, a research scientist at Harvard, got interested in a bunch of these overlooked specimens. After a long day of teaching, he decided to unwind with some time in the lab, carefully preparing one of the Utah fossils. This work is painstaking, almost meditative. Under a powerful microscope, using a fine steel needle, a paleontologist has to remove the surrounding rock, grain by grain, to reveal the delicate structures preserved underneath. It takes immense patience and a surgeon's steady hand. Dr. Lerosi-Aubrel spent over 50 hours on this one specimen. As he worked, the animal's form slowly began to emerge. It had the expected features: a head shield, a segmented body. But then, as he cleared away the rock from the very front of the creature's head, he saw something that made him stop. Something that just wasn't supposed to be there. He later said, claws are never in that location in a Cambrian arthropod. Instead of a simple antenna, a complex, pincer-like claw was emerging from the rock. For a few minutes, he just stared in disbelief. And then, the obvious, earth-shattering realization hit him. He had just uncovered the oldest Chelicera ever found. The reveal what emerged from that Utah shale was a creature that would be officially named Megachelicerax cousteaui. The name is a perfect description. Mega, from the Greek for large, and chelicera, for the claws that define it. The species name, cousteaui, was chosen by the French-born Lee-Rosie Aubrel and his colleague, Dr. Javier Ortega Hernandez, to honor the legendary ocean explorer Jacques-Yves Cousteau. It's a fitting tribute for an ancient marine animal that's so profoundly changing how we see the evolution of life in the sea. At just over 8 centimeters, about 3 inches long, Megachelicerax wasn't the biggest predator in the Cambrian Ocean. That title belonged to the terrifying Anomalocaris, which could grow over a foot long. But Megachelicerax was an evolutionary masterpiece. Its body was split into 2 distinct sections, a feature that's surprisingly advanced for an animal this old. At the front, it had a smooth, semicircular head shield. Tucked underneath were 6 pairs of limbs for feeding and sensing. The main body was made of 9 overlapping segments, and beneath those were delicate, plate-like gills, remarkably similar to the book gills you can see on modern horseshoe crabs. This animal was an active swimmer, probably staying close to the seafloor where the food was. But the real star of the show, the feature that rewrites textbooks, is that pair of appendages at the front. They are unmistakably chelicerae, the one feature that defines the entire group of animals we call Chelicerates. Today, that group includes over 120,000 living species, from the tiniest mite to the biggest tarantula. And what makes them different from insects and crustaceans is that their frontmost appendages aren't antennae for sensing, they're chelicerae used for grabbing, piercing, and eating. The chelicerae of Megachelicerax were huge for its body, made of 3 segments that ended in a sharp pincer. These weren't the venom-injecting fangs of a spider yet, or the shredding mouthparts of a scorpion. They were robust, powerful tools for hunting. Just imagine this creature gliding through the murky water. It spots a soft-bodied worm wiggling in the mud below. With a quick burst of speed, it dives, its massive claws shooting forward to grab and crush its prey. This was a sophisticated hunter in one of Earth's very first complex ecosystems. And until now, no clear Chelicerate had ever been found from the Cambrian period. Megachelicerax proved they were there all along. The evolutionary context so, why is finding a 507-million-year-old animal with claws such a huge deal? To get it, we have to look at the big picture. The appearance of Megachelicerax happens right after the Cambrian explosion, that period of insane evolutionary creativity. In a geological blink, life went from simple blobs to a wild array of complex animals with shells, limbs, and eyes. It was during this frenzy that the blueprints for most major animal groups alive today were laid down. But for paleontologists, the origin of Chelicerates was a stubborn puzzle. We knew they had to have come from this Cambrian chaos, but the evidence was missing. Before this discovery, the oldest confirmed Chelicerate fossils were from a site in Morocco, dated to about 480 million years ago. That left a frustrating 20-million-year gap in the fossil record. Megachelicerax, at 507 million years old, lands squarely in that gap. It's the missing link scientists have been searching for. More importantly, it helps settle a huge debate about how those claws, the chelicerae, evolved in the first place. A lot of weird Cambrian arthropods, like Anomalocaris, had what are called great appendages, big, multi-segmented limbs on the front of their head for grasping. Scientists have argued for years about what happened to these things. Did they become the antennae of insects? Or the fangs of spiders? The fossils just weren't clear. Megachelicerax gives us a perfect snapshot of this transition in action. It's what scientists call a stem group, Chelicerate. That means it isn't a direct ancestor of a spider, but more like an early cousin that shows us a mix of old and new features. The fact that it exists, with its large, great appendages, that are also clearly chelicerae, is strong evidence that these grasping limbs were, in fact, the precursors to the fangs and pincers of their modern relatives. As Dr. Ortega Hernandez pointed out, the discovery helps line up a lot of competing ideas. It shows us the step-by-step assembly of the modern Chelicerate body plan. But maybe the most astonishing thing is just how modern this creature already was for its time. Dr. Lerosie Aubrel called it super-modern in anatomy. In the mid-Cambrian, the oceans were already home to arthropods with a level of complexity that could rival what we see today. This wasn't some clumsy first draft. It was a highly successful blueprint, established 500 million years ago, a blueprint that would definitely stand the test of time. The legacy story of Megachelicerax doesn't end in the Cambrian Sea. It's the beginning of a dynasty that continues to this day. So how do we get from a hand-sized marine predator to the spiders and scorpions crawling on land? We follow the claws. The lineage that Megachelicerax belongs to thrived in the oceans for millions of years. Its descendants included the terrifying sea scorpions, some of which grew larger than a person and became the top predators of their time. For hundreds of millions of years, Chelicerates were a major force in the oceans. But eventually, a new frontier opened up, the land. Sometime during the Silurian and Devonian periods, the descendants of these aquatic pioneers made the jump from water to land. This was one of the biggest moments in the history of life, and Chelicerates were some of the very first animals to do it. Those signature claws, once perfect for snatching worms from the ocean floor, turned out to be an incredibly versatile toolkit for surviving in a whole new world. Over millions of years, this basic tool was modified into an amazing array of structures. In spiders, the chelicerae evolved into hollow fangs connected to venom glands, a perfect tool for taking down prey. In scorpions, the chelicerae are actually quite small, used to shred food near the mouth, while their big, iconic claws are actually modified versions of the next pair of appendages back. And in horseshoe crabs, often called living fossils, the chelicerae remain small pincers used to pass food to the mouth, not all that different from their ancient ancestor. The very existence of an effective predator like Megachelicerax so early in history had ripple effects on all other life. The rise of good hunters creates enormous evolutionary pressure. If you don't want to get eaten, you need a defense. This pressure is probably a major reason why we see so many animals with hard shells and spines explode onto the scene during the Cambrian. The predator-prey arms race had begun, and it would drive the diversity of life for the next 500 million years. The legacy of Megachelicerax is all around us. It's in the silk of a spider's web and the sting of a scorpion's tail. It's even in our own medicine. The blue, copper-based blood of the horseshoe crab, a distant cousin of Megachelicerax, contains a substance that is essential for testing the safety of vaccines and medical equipment. Understanding the deep evolutionary roots of these animals isn't just for textbooks, it has real-world benefits for us today. The story of Megachelicerax cousteaui is an incredible lesson in just how much we still have to discover. For 40 years, one of the most important fossils for understanding the evolution of an entire branch of the animal kingdom was sitting in a museum drawer, just waiting for the right person to look closer. It shows you that a single discovery, a single "wait a minute" moment, can completely change our picture of the past. This hand-sized sea monster was more than just a predator, it was a pioneer. It carried the blueprint for one of the most successful groups of animals on the planet. It proves that just after the dawn of animal life, the oceans were already filled with creatures of surprising sophistication. The tools that would one day allow spiders and scorpions to conquer the land were forged in the Cambrian seas, 500 million years ago. So the next time you see a spider building a web in the corner of your room, take a second. Don't just see a creepy crawly. See a survivor. See the inheritor of a 507 million year old legacy. You're looking at the descendant of an ancient, armored sea monster that swam in alien oceans long before the first flower ever bloomed, carrying the very same tools that allow its modern relatives to thrive today. What blows your mind most about this discovery? Is it the incredible claw reveal? The fact that such a supermodern animal existed 507 million years ago? Or that this game-changing fossil was hiding in plain sight for over 40 years? Let us know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, be sure to hit that like button. And for more fossil bombshells and explorations into the history of life, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We went 500 million years back today, who knows where we'll go next. Thanks for watching.